what we're going to use here. Okay. This is the bracket. I don't know if it's big enough, actually. Let me see if I can make it bigger. Yeah, that's big enough, right? 110. There we go. 110. All right. So let's go through the bracket here. We're going to go through each division, the North, the East, the West, and the Central. Okay. Let's start with the obvious here. All right. I'm going to put this together. Again, you guys can tell me if I'm wrong. I know I'm not. But hey, you guys can tell me what I'm not. Here's what we're going to start. So we're going to start with, let's start with the North Division. Let's start with my favorite division, of course. Right? We're the home of the Habs, so everything there. Hold on, let me turn this down just a little bit. I think that helps. All right. Let's start with the obvious. I'm gonna pick Toronto here, and I'm gonna pick Toronto in 6. I really don't think Montreal has a chance here, fam. I really don't. I wish they did. It breaks my heart to think of Toronto making it past round 1, but man, like, do they not? Montreal can't slow them down. This isn't Pittsburgh, by the way, of last year, right? Like, this is the Leafs, man. They legitimately have a team that I think can at least compete. Are they going to win? No. And I don't want them to, okay? But they at least have a team that can compete, and they should get out of that round. So I'm going to pick Toronto here. I'm going to go with my first upset here, and I'm going to give it to Winnipeg. And I'm going to give it to Winnipeg in 7. Okay? The Edmonton Oilers have 2 players, right? Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl. We all know this. They got 2 very good defensemen, offensive defensemen, in Tyson Barrie and Darnell Nurse. The Winnipeg Jets are actually an okay team. The Winnipeg Jets, to me, have more depth up front, which I think is key in the playoffs. They also have a better defense, right? Which is, I mean, the Jets, you know, their defense is it. They also have better goaltending, by the way. Connor Hellebuck, a lot better than Mike Smith. It's been a tough season for him. I get that. But man, Edmonton's not playing Chicago that didn't have a goalie and that's not what's happening here, fam. That's not what's happening. So, to me, I'm just going to go with that. I think that's where we see our first upset, is Winnipeg getting past Edmonton. I wouldn't be surprised if Edmonton advances, just because Connor McDavid is going to sit there and go, hold my beer, let me just, carry my boys to the next round. That's fine. That's fine. I 100% understand where that would come from. But, again, I just think Winnipeg can do it. If any team can beat the Edmonton Oilers in the first round, Winnipeg has that, right? Winnipeg has it. So, then over here, again, I'm going to give Toronto. I really think they make it to where they need to make it. It's just, they're better. They're better, right? If Toronto were to face even if Toronto were to face Edmonton, I don't think Edmonton has what it takes. They don't have the depth. Edmonton's not making it here. Toronto sadly is going to do it, and that's what it is. That's what it is, fam. Okay, that's what it is. So we've gone with that. Let's head over to the East. Okay. I don't know. Let's start with Pittsburgh and the Islanders. I don't know if this is an actual upset, but I'm taking the Islanders in 6. I don't think this is an upset. Pittsburgh has done some amazing things to get to. They finished top of the East Division, which I think is the toughest division in hockey. Easily finished there. Easily. Okay? And, I don't know, man. It's something. It's definitely something. It's definitely something. But the Islanders, to me, are a better team. They're complete. Their defense is better. Their goaltending is better. Every part of the Islanders team is better. They don't have that elite superstar when you think of Crosby or Malkin or Letang or they don't have that. But this is a win by committee team. And depth-wise, I think the Islanders are better. Even if the Penguins get Malkin back, Malkin's missed a lot of time. Crosby's been able to do what he's been able to do. Pittsburgh's top line is definitely better, but I think you can control that. I really do. And I think goaltending-wise, Barry Trotz builds these teams that all of a sudden every goalie that comes in just ends up being a stud. And Varlamov is no different here. I think he's been really good all year, and I think that continues here. So I'm going to take the Islanders here. This might be the toughest matchup that I have between Washington and Boston. This is a really tough one because I think Washington is a very good team. I think Boston's a very good team as well. I'm going to take Boston. I'm going to take them in 7. It's a coin flip for me here. I wouldn't be surprised if Washington makes it. Okay. I don't think this is an upset. I think these are two very good teams. Washington, they obviously been there. They've done that. I don't think they have as much depth, which is something, right? The health of Evgeny Kuznetsov is also a question mark. You know, Boston's more than just a top line heavy team now, right? You know, David Krejci started to find, you know, he's been on fire since Taylor Hall showed up. Taylor Hall has also found his spark. Surprise, surprise, when you leave Buffalo, everything seems to be fixed. So I think there's something here. I don't think it's a coin toss here. I just think Boston has the better team. They do have places where they lack, right? I think Washington's defense is better than the Bruins defense. I think Washington's goaltending is also better, right? Tuukka Rask, he's missed some time. There's all those factors in it. But I think the addition of Boston having a second line that can do something to complement the top line of Bergeron, Pastrnak, and Marchand, I think that helps. And I mean, look, Washington's got a really good offense too, right? Like, let's not forget that Alex Ovechkin's on the other side. Let's not forget that Nicholas Backstrom is there. TJ Oshie's starting to get hot. If Tom Wilson doesn't do something stupid, you know, I think there's a lot here. That's why I just think, to me, it's a coin toss. That's all I see here. Taylor Hall changed the game. Taylor Hall has come in. He's got what? He's got, I did the playbook today, so I know this. He's got 10 points in his last 10 games, 6 of them being goals, right? David Krejci's off to a fire. I think he's got 16 points in 21 games or something. I saw the NHL. I think it was Pete Jensen who tweeted out or something, or maybe the NHL.com fantasy. Like, man, David Krejci was dead in the water for most of the season. All of a sudden, Taylor Hall comes out, gets himself away from everything that's going on in Buffalo. And all of a sudden, everything's fixed. Guy's a whole lot better than he actually was. Cool. It's amazing how, I mean, Buffalo's an absolute, I've said this before, I've been to Buffalo. I hate the city, man. My apologies to the good people of Buffalo. I hate the city, man. Damn. I hate the city. The team just, who knows what's going to happen there. But Taylor Hall has definitely added an element to this team, and he makes them a whole lot better. Is that the piece that gets them over in this round? Maybe. Upset here? I don't think so. I think Boston will make it all the way. They're a better team. I think it's a tough matchup against the Islanders. I wouldn't be surprised the Islanders win. I wouldn't be surprised the Islanders make it here, by the way. I wouldn't. The Islanders have better defense than all 4 of these teams, and they're a better, they're built, their top 9 is built differently. Whether they can get it done in the playoffs is a whole other conversation. Whether their goaltending stands up and whether all that, I just don't think, you know, the Islanders also a very physical team. I don't think people give them credit. They're built, man. Probably one of the best 4th lines in hockey, right? So, again, I just think Buffalo has enough skill to get over. They've been, not Buffalo, sorry. Buffalo's got no skill. Boston has enough skill to get them to where they need to be. What they do when they get there is going to be a whole other conversation. But I think they have enough to come out of this. Boston is a different team when they hit the playoffs. We know this. And how far that top line carries them is going to be up to them. All right, where are we going next here? Let me change this. Yes. All right, so the West Division. Here we go. So Colorado, St. Louis. Colorado in like 5. I don't think St. Louis has any chance here. I don't. Even if Colorado's a top-heavy team, I mean, Ryan O'Reilly can try to slow them down. I think the St. Louis Blues have pieces that make them good. But unless Jordan Binnington stands on his head, which he hasn't been able to do this season, Colorado's going to absolutely steamroll them. We saw what Colorado did last year in the playoffs against good defensive teams. I mean, Arizona by no means is a bad defensive team, but they wiped the floor with them. They wiped the floor. So, like, I know St. Louis is better, but man, this is a really tough matchup on paper. 1, 2, 3 here. These 3, right? Vegas and Minnesota. These teams were shoe in. Like, they are way better than the St. Louis Blues. St. Louis Blues just kind of like got in there, right? Like, they kind of just like moved in. Like, there were a lot of bad teams fighting for that spot, you know? So I don't know, man. They're not going to get through. Vegas, Minnesota. I'm going to give it to Vegas. I'm going to give it Vegas in 6. Vegas is a very good team, man. The Minnesota Wild, what they've been able to accomplish, though, is wild. I don't think Minnesota has the depth to keep up. I don't think they're scoring, right? They don't have a centerman, right? They don't have a centerman that can keep up. I mean, you're going to have to try to contain guys like Stone, Mark Stone. You have to try to contain players like Max Pacioretty. You got to contain William Karlsson, Riley Nash. Don't forget the boys on the blue line, right? Alex Pietrangelo, Shea Theodore, Alec Martinez, man. Shout out to Alec Martinez. I mean, that guy's in the playbook every time I write it because, like, that's all he does is block shots. This is a well-balanced team. You also got Marc-Andre Fleury and Robin Leonard, who I think are really, really good. I think Cam Talbot is good as well. And again, like, Minnesota deserves to be here. It's a shame that they have to face off against Vegas, and it wouldn't have been any easier for Colorado. This is just a really tough division, and I don't see how they get out of it. I think Minnesota will put up a fight. I really do, because, I mean, they have Kaprizov. Kaprizov has played lights out this season. He has been, to me, he's rookie of the year, and there's no question about it. He has been able to do it, but man, is he going to get to the playoffs, and it's going to be different. And again, who are you counting on at center? Joel Eriksson Ek? Victor Rask? Ryan Hartman was playing center. Like, who's playing center in Minnesota? Who knows? So, to me, it seems like an easier path for Vegas to get there. Now, Vegas, Colorado, this is a stunner matchup. This is what I want to see, by the way. Everything else, completely optional. But I want to see what happens between Vegas and Colorado. I think Colorado can do it. I really do. I think it's going to be one of the tightest series ever. Because these are two teams with really good offenses. Their top lines are superior to their secondary lines. Okay. I think for Vegas, I think defensively as well, Colorado has a slight edge. I don't think it's much. Goaltending wise, Vegas has it. Right? Vegas does have it. And we saw last year in the playoffs when Grubauer got hurt and Francouz wasn't there, like, this team fell apart. So health is obviously the number one factor here for Colorado. They have to stay healthy. But I mean, Nathan McKinnon's on a whole other planet, right? And Mikko Rantanen is probably one of the best goal scorers in the NHL that we just don't talk about as being elite. We don't talk about it. So, again, I think this is going to be a really tough matchup. I just think Colorado can get there. I really do. I wouldn't be surprised if Vegas wins, but I think Colorado can definitely take us to where they need to be. 100% here. 100%. Let's go over to the Central Division here. Okay. Carolina, Nashville. Carolina in like 4. I don't know what Nashville's doing here. I don't know how they made it. Nashville had to sneak by like teams that were terrible, including the Chicago Blackhawks, who were missing their entire roster. Nashville's played better of late, but man, like, Carolina has 2 number 1 goalies. They have what Vegas has, right? Alex Nedeljkovic is really good. Peter Mrazek, by the way, was lights out before he even started. That's a nice problem to have if you're Carolina, having 2 really elite goalies, right? Toronto wishes they had that problem. So Carolina, I think, was just going to steamroll here in Nashville. I think Nashville tries to put up a fight, but they have what? They have half a top line. Victor Arvidsson and Philip Forsberg. I guess Ryan Johansson is there. The health of Matt Duchene doesn't really matter, right? They have Roman Josi on the back end, sure. I mean, UC Saros would literally have to stand on his head here and steal, what, 3 games? And I don't think that's going to happen here. He's going to get steamrolled every single night by a well-balanced Carolina team. This is a well-balanced. They probably have the deepest top 9 in the playoffs, and they have the deepest 6-man defenseman. And they have great goaltending. Bro. It's not even a challenge. Florida, Tampa Bay, man. This one is interesting. Because Florida is, to me, Florida on paper is the superior team. They are. But, I mean, it's Tampa Bay, right? Tampa Bay's done it. They're the defending champs, right? So I'm going to blow people's mind here. I'm going to go Florida, and I'm going to give them in 7. Florida is the superior team on paper. I did not think we were going to see a battle of the Floridas here, right? Wild, actually. It's wild what the Florida Panthers have been able to do at this point, okay? So, Florida scores goals. They shoot the puck a ton, And defensively, they're a pretty... Now, let's not forget, they're missing Aaron Ekblad, which is a huge loss for them. But ever since acquiring Sam Bennett from Calgary, Sam Bennett's on a whole other planet now. And I think that helps balance out their top six. I think their bottom six is a little subjective here. It's a little bit off edge. But I really do think Florida's ability to shoot the puck and to score goals, and defensively, again, it'll be a struggle for them. But I think they're going to pepper Tampa Bay to a point where they can get by. And all Sergei Bobrovsky, I don't think Sergei Bobrovsky plays the entire series. I'm going to be honest with you. He's an absolute dumpster fire of a goalie. He's not good. We've seen Spencer Knight be really good. We've seen Chris Driedger be really good as well. So, at some point, one of those two goalies is going to take over, and then the problem is solved. It's just going to, we're just going to see, well, how long does it take for Sergei Bobrovsky to be terrible before, he doesn't start anymore? And I think that's going to be sooner rather than later here, right? And for Tampa Bay, no knock on them. They're literally the defending Stanley Cup champions, right? They've gotten here, they've done that. Nikita Kucherov comes back. He hasn't played all season. What type of shape is he going to be when he gets to the playoffs, right? Like, even if you want to think it was cap circumvention, which, let's face it, probably was, right? The health of Steven Stamkos is also a problem. Like, Braden Point can't do it on his own. There is no depth on this team. Their bottom six is good, but last year, the additions of Blake Coleman and what's his face, the other boy, like, that really helped. But that was their third line, right? With Yanni Gourde on it. Like, their third line was powerful. Now that line's basically become second line. They don't have enough scoring, in my mind, to be able. They'll do well defensively. They're a really good defensive team, and they have the best goalie in this matchup. So Andrei Vasilevsky can do a lot of work. I just don't know if he's going to be able to do it all against the Panthers. And I think if it gets to 7, the wear and tear here, and like I said, for Kucherov, what health is he going to be in? Is Steven Stamkos going to be in the lineup? These are question marks right now that I'm just sitting there going, I don't know, man. I don't know if I want to be a part of that. If I had to put money here, like, I would be much more comfortable taking Florida. The Panthers. They've earned it. They've showed us they can do it. They're riding the playoffs in on a high with a goalie that all he's got to do is be average. That's all Sergei Bobrovsky has to do. It's just be alive. Not be an absolute dumpster fire. So I think there's some value here. So to me, it's Florida. Once they get to Carolina, though, Carolina's going to go through them again. Okay? That's my set here. I'm not going to waste too much time. Florida's going to be able to exploit the lack of depth that the Tampa Bay Lightning may have. And without their stars, I think it's going to be really hard here. Barkov has been really good, by the way. The additions of Anthony Duclair and Carter Verhaeghe, when healthy, has been great. I mean, we haven't even talked about Jonathan Huberdeau that much. Like, this is a good team. This is a good team, the Florida Panthers. But once they get Carolina, to me, is the best team in that division. And it's no question to me. Then we get to Colorado, Boston. Colorado, to me, is just the better team. They deserve to be here. They really do. So I'm going to give it to Colorado. I think Boston will put up a fight, but I'm giving it to Colorado. I just think they're the better team. When healthy, they are a good team. So I think they can get it. I think they can get it. Their second line is okay. Their third line struggles. Their fourth line is fourth line, but their defense is good. Their goaltending's been good. That's important to me. And I think Colorado can contain Bergeron, Pasternak, Marchand. I think Krejci and Hall are the X factor. I don't know if they get it done against Colorado, so I'm just going to go there. Here between Carolina and Toronto, it's Carolina. Defense wins championships. Toronto doesn't have it. Toronto has the weakest goalie of this matchup. I know they have the firepower. They're a top-heavy team. Their top 9 is built to score. They've added players like Nick Foligno, Joe Thornton in the offseason, Wayne Simmons. This is a big boy team now. But man, I think Carolina's just built differently. They got good defense. And again, Frederick Anderson's coming back. Who knows what he's going to be like? I know Jack Campbell has had some, he went on that crazy tear where he wouldn't lose. He's come back down to earth. Like, Toronto doesn't have the defense to keep up, but they certainly don't have the goaltending. So unless the Leafs are scoring 5-6 goals a game against Carolina, which is not going to happen, Carolina's going to make it through. And then evidently for me, I think Colorado takes it. I really do. I think they're the better team. I think Carolina puts up a fight. I think this would be a great series, right? The NHL may not like it because Carolina and Colorado, but I think Colorado can get there. I really do. And I think they can get past Carolina. Not easily, because Carolina, I think, has a little bit more depth, but I think the firepower coming from this team is just too much. Enter total number of goals scored in the Stanley Cup Finals. I think we'll see a couple. 26. And I'll submit it. So that's my bracket here.